Hey guys, this is our last assignment before we begin our final project towards the end of the year. In this assignment, you guys are going to be creating a written response. So it's going to be kind of like a mini essay. In this assignment, it's really important because we're going to practice some of the writing skills that are necessary to move on into the next level of social studies. If you're thinking of moving on into social studies 10-2 or 20-2, these skills are going to be really important. So it's very important that you focus on this one and ask questions about how can you create a really good written assignment. So what we're going to be doing is analyzing different people's point of view. So you guys are going to listen to two opinions and you're going to analyze it and decide what you think of those opinions. Why do we do this? Well, right now in our world with social media and the internet, everyone has an opinion and everyone's able to share it basically at all times. So it's important that we are able to analyze other people's opinions and understand where they might be right, where we think they might be wrong, what we agree and disagree, so that when you are older and you are voting, that when you have discussions with people, you want to be able to understand where they're coming from. Fighting and arguing with people around the world does us no good. And what you can see right now sometimes in the news is that many people are fighting and arguing, whether they're on against Donald Trump or against Joe Biden or against Jason Kenney or against Justin Trudeau or for those people. And so there's lots of arguing going on online, and we want to be able to build skills and where we understand what people's point of view are.
So your task, you are going to create a written response, and you're going to respond to the question, does globalization benefit all people? Throughout this course, we've talked a lot about globalization and the impacts of the good things it does for us and the negative effects it's had on the planet. So think of all the positives that we've talked about with globalization and media, where we get our information, our technologies, our products that we can buy for cheap. But also think about all the negative impacts we've talked about on the environment, on jobs, on factories moving to other countries. Okay? You're going to respond in 4 paragraphs. So you're going to have a written response with 4 paragraphs. And in this, you are going to analyze both citizens' opinions that we're going to read in the next slides, and you're going to include your own opinion to the question. So remember, the question is, does globalization benefit all people?
This is our first paragraph. You're going to introduce the topic. So our question is going to be, is globalization sustainable? So you need to, in this paragraph, talk about what is the issue about. Why is this important? What has led to this issue? So think about everything we've been talking about over the last few weeks, about what is causing, why is sustainability important? Think about climate change and our impacts on our world. What is causing these things? You know, think about all the trade and the products that we've been talking about. Factories being moved to Mexico where they have different laws on pollution, right? Then you want to think about, well, what are the viewpoints? There are people that support globalization, okay, that believe that it's creating more jobs and giving us cheaper goods to buy, and those that might be against it. And you think about, well, what are the reasons we've given you? So that will be our first paragraph. The second paragraph is you're going to analyze Citizen 1's opinion. So I'm going to read what his opinion is. He says, how can we argue that globalization has benefited all people when many of the world's citizens still live in poverty? In many developing countries, the citizens work low-paying jobs to build the products we buy. Western nations have profited, but at what cost? Our forests, oceans, atmosphere, and the developing world cannot continue to be exploited just to fill the pockets of wealthy transnational corporations. I've given you some jot notes on the side here to help. This summarizes what his opinion is, okay? In paragraph 2, you're going to analyze Citizen 2's opinion. She says, Since World War II, trade has increased. Millions of jobs have been created, and technology has improved many people's lives, such as fast food, as McDonald's and Subway provide cheap meals for those living on a budget. Large container ships make it easier than ever before for companies to sell goods around the world at a low cost. It's the Walmart way. I've also included some points over here that kind of summarizes what she believes. Okay? The third paragraph is very important. This is, this would be the fourth paragraph. But this is your opinion. So what you believe really matters. So in this paragraph, you're going to think about, well, what do you believe about the topic? Is globalization sustainable? What do you think, and why do you think this is? Which citizen do you agree with? And give reasons why. Which citizen do you disagree with? And you want to provide reasons why. You want to remember to be convincing and to include evidence. So think about things we've talked about during class. You want to use those that information, videos we've watched, things you've read, and put it into your writing. You want to create as strong as argument as you can. So what is this going to look like? To organize your writing, paragraph 1, you are going to introduce the topic, explain the main idea and why it's important. Paragraph 2, you're analyzing citizen 1's opinion. So you want to state, what did they believe and how do you know? What are the pros and cons to this opinion? Okay? So what are the good parts of this opinion and the things you don't agree with? Paragraph 3, this is the second citizen. You want to state what they believe and how you know. You want to say, what are the pros and cons to this opinion and why? Paragraph 4 is your opinion. What do you believe? Which citizen do you agree with? Why? Who do you disagree with and why? Make sure you're including your evidence. I also want you to think about what important terms and definitions you could include in your writing. So before you begin, maybe brainstorm a list of important terms you have learned in class that you could include in your writing. An example could be free trade agreement. Could you find somewhere to mention free trade agreement in your sentences? This will be important in improving your writing. Lastly, we create our response. I want you to make sure you go over this checklist when you're finished. When completed, you should have 4 paragraphs. You should have included quotes and text from the citizens. So if citizen 1 says a quote about destroying the environment, you could include that in your paragraph about him. You want to include important terms and definitions from class. Make sure you've got capitals, commas, periods, and proper grammar. And proofread your response. Read it out loud to yourself. Read it out to somebody else, a parent, a brother, a sister, a friend. And edit for mistakes. You can even proofread it to me or Mr. McGee to ask for feedback before you hand it in. Your writing assignment looks like this. I have the question at the top. Does globalization benefit all people? Here we can see citizen 1 says, how can we argue? And it has his opinion. We have citizen 2 who shares her opinion. And then you are going to think about, what do you think? You have a space here where you can brainstorm important terms. I've given you a guide for paragraph 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to help you get started. So in the end, you will end up with 4 paragraphs, okay? This is a big writing assignment, but I know you guys can do well. You can also kind of break it up into bits and pieces. So once you do paragraph 1, you can share that with me. And then at our online meets, we'll go over it and we can give you some feedback. Okay, good work, guys. Keep it up. We're almost done for the end of the year. After this, we just have our final project. Okay, take care.